Tonight, Jeff Brock returns to Cabinet with the new Labor government, and the restrictions on the sale of alcohol in Port Augusta extended.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with John Hunt begins now.
Good evening. Jeff Brock has made a surprise comeback to South Australia's government after being sworn into Cabinet by the Premier this morning. The incoming member for Stuart set to take on 3 ministries. Reporter Christian Komenos has more.
It's been an exciting week for the independent member, first beating the former Deputy Premier and now being sworn back into Cabinet. It came as a shock to Mr Brock when the new Premier called him on Tuesday.
I just wanted to make certain 2 things, that if I accepted it, could I still retain my independence? And yes, that's not a problem. And be the Minister for Local Government, which I have lots of experience in that.
The incoming member for Stuart, now in charge of local government, veteran affairs and regional roads. The Premier saying Jeff wanted his independence protected.
And I don't see any problem in having a government that has got representation from outside of the Labor Party. And I welcomed Jeff to that endeavour.
Mr Brock is confident his new role will benefit regional South Australians.
But one of the things I do like about this is that it puts somebody from that area, part of regional South Australia, in the heart. That puts them in the cabinet room where the decisions are being made.
He says he will also have a lot more input when it comes to dealing with the current issues in the seat of Stuart.
The social behaviour issue of Port Augusta is a real big issue. This gets me right into the cabinet, gets me to be able to explain 100% what the issue is there.
Jeff will be spending the next few days getting briefed on his 3 portfolios as he prepares to take on new responsibilities.
Alcohol restrictions in Port Augusta have been extended and may become permanent, like Pirie and Sejuna's regulations. Local residents are becoming frustrated, saying the antisocial behaviour affecting the city isn't going away.
Port Augusta's alcohol restrictions are here to stay for another 3 months. The Liquor and Gambling Commissioner confirming the move, saying local medical staff are reporting a drop in alcohol-related presentations. However, community members say they're not seeing a reduction in antisocial behaviour.
My concern is that I don't know whether the people in those positions have actually come to Port Augusta and seeing it in its raw form.
And they could be here to stay. The Commissioner confirming this period will be used to consider whether to make the restrictions ongoing. The incoming member for Stuart says there's more to it, wanting multiple government organisations to be brought together so resources can be pooled and a long-term plan can be formed.
I'll put the invitation to the new Premier to come to Port Augusta to perhaps have a look at it, walk the course here, talk to the business community and also to talk to the Aboriginal groups up here to understand what we can do.
I think collaboration between all the agencies, between the 2 members, the government and the council, to resolve the issue is the key component.
Aboriginal communities also want to be included in the process, saying they feel like they're being told what to do from Adelaide.
They're not taken seriously. Their solutions and what they have to bring to the table and offer, it's like a second-hand gesture. People listen to it, organisations listen to it, but they don't do anything with it.
Edward McCarroll, 7 Spencer Golf News.
A new report has shown there is a rental crisis in many parts of regional Australia, including right here in the Spencer Gulf. Factors such as the COVID-19 pandemic and natural disasters have added pressure to rental prices.
Adding extra pressure to the wallets of those living tough in the Spencer Gulf. A new report from ACOS revealing regional rental affordability in Australia has worsened since the pandemic began. South Australia's peak social services body saying the report matches the trend they see for our region.
This is entirely consistent with what we've been hearing from people living across the regions in South Australia. There have been massive increases in the price of rentals.
Data from the study has found regional rents are now 18% higher than 2 years ago, with wage rises not in step with the rate of rent increases.
We know that lots of people have found themselves in positions where they've had to vacate properties and indeed unable to locate new rental accommodation.
In a statement, the report's lead author, Professor Hal Paulson, says governments must learn from pandemic measures and enact permanent reforms in social security.
One of the best ways the Commonwealth can invest is by investing in big social housing developments.
The full report can be viewed on ACOS's Poverty and Inequality online portal. Mark Zeta, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Still to come tonight, a Port Pirie hotel's campaign forces a council backflip and calls Grove for a piece of diabetes equipment to receive federal support. Welcome back. A pub in Port Pirie has finally been given an alfresco training permit so patrons can drink and eat on the footpath. After battling the council for years, the federal hotel can now celebrate outside with a beer.
A big win for a small business. A month ago, the federal hotel was told by the council that they would need to put in a development application if they wanted customers to drink and eat out the front of their pub. In a remarkable move, more than 14 people from Port Pirie gave their testimonies to the council, outlining times throughout history where they saw patrons using the hotel's footpath.
It was wonderful to see the support from the community and from a wide variety and selection of people, ex-staff members, neighbours.
Along with photographic evidence, it was enough for the council to issue a footpath permit.
The initial reaction was disbelief. We didn't think common sense would prevail quite as quickly as it has, but we were very disappointed that it hadn't prevailed nearly 2 years ago.
The council didn't want to speak to us on camera about the matter, but the mayor says he is happy the situation is resolved.
In the city of opportunity, we weren't given an opportunity to trade in an alfresco area with ease.
With COVID restrictions eased, the federal hotel is expected to reopen next Thursday, where patrons can enjoy a drink outside. Christian Komenos, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
People with diabetes in the Spencer Gulf have called for the federal government to subsidise a vital insulin device. Attendees at a recent meeting with the member for Grey opened up about living with the illness.
Campaigning for easier access to vital medical equipment. The member for Grey listening to residents living with diabetes in his electorate in an online forum last night.
It was organised by Omnipod, who are a commercial company which have a new device for constant glucose monitoring.
The main point being discussed, putting the Omnipod Dash monitoring system on the National Diabetes Service Scheme.
So there's a decision pending on that. But I think it's as a replacement technology for something that already exists. So I think their chances of registration are high.
A local case study in Grey, who doesn't want to be identified, has a child with type 1 diabetes who uses similar technology. She's calling for more support from the Commonwealth for those living with the disease.
I strongly believe that every different type of device for the treatment of type 1 diabetes is just another tool in the tool bag.
Omnipod's manufacturer also keen for a solution to be found.
Subsidy is needed to ensure greater access for Australians living with type 1 diabetes.
Mark Zeta, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
It's been a busy time for Broken Hill Police, with 2 men arrested over 2 separate assaults. In one of the cases, a teen has been charged after a man was injured during an altercation on Sunday morning.
Police kept busy in Broken Hill. At 5 a.m. on Sunday, officers attended a house after reports 2 males aged 16 and 19 attended the home of a 16-year-old. After an argument, it is alleged the occupant produced a pair of scissors and slashed the face of the 19-year-old.
That required that male to receive surgery. The offender in that incident, a 16-year-old male, was later arrested by police and has since been granted bail and will reappear before Broken Hill Local Court at a later date.
In an unrelated incident, another man has been charged after an alleged assault on Oxide Street earlier this month. The victim attacked after leaving a licensed premises at 3:30 a.m. on March 13th.
During that confrontation, that 18-year-old male used someone's high heel to assault that male. That the victim, the 29-year-old, sustained some wounds to his head and his face.
Alcohol a factor in only one of the incidents.
Whilst concerning, members of the public, particularly in Broken Hill, shouldn't hold too many concerns that these people were attacked. They were known to each other, and certainly something that we looked at.
This week is also Road Awareness Week in New South Wales, with police focusing on dangerous driving.
What we still do this week and every other week, 52 weeks of the year, is concentrate on what we call the 4 Ds: drink, dangerous drug and distracted driving.
Joshua Mercer, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
And a man will appear in court after allegedly being caught drink driving in Whyalla, Playford this morning. At around 2:30, officers stopped the 47-year-old driver on Elliott Street in Whyalla, Playford. He allegedly returned a positive reading of 0.131, nearly 3 times the legal limit. His vehicle was impounded and his licence was suspended for 6 months. Stay with us. A legend of the Adelaide Football Club visits fans in Port Lincoln. And a concert focusing on musical hits comes to Port Augusta. The Adelaide Football Club has made its way down to Port Lincoln to spend time with its regional members. Local supporters had their chance to speak with the club's chairman and CEO at a forum last night.
The Adelaide Crows didn't get their ideal start to their premiership campaign, suffering a 1-point defeat to Fremantle in a nail-biting finish. Despite round one's loss, young gun Josh Rochelli did give supporters something to cheer about, kicking 5 on debut.
Tries to open up the angle, caught, flicked the handball over the top. Big moment, Rochelli! That's what they recruited him for. Goal sneak extraordinaire.
The club turning its focus to our region this week, holding a Q&A forum in Port Lincoln.
So we're coming over here to spend time with our regional supporter group. So we're very fortunate at the Crows that we do have a lot of regional supporters. They've been a big part of our history right from day one. So we have 7 regional supporter groups.
Mr Jacobs, who hails from the York Peninsula, says the club recognises the importance of its regional members. They're hoping to hear from supporters on ways in which the club can improve.
Part of my role in engagement is to, I guess, find out, what things we can do better. And not only that, what we're doing well as well. We put a lot of time into our supporters and our members to make sure that they're happy at the club, and it's a two-way forum.
The playing group also hopeful they can rebound against Collingwood this weekend.
Unfortunately, we didn't quite get it done, and I know the team's obviously disappointed with the loss, but there's a lot of positives we can take out of it. But another chance to rebound this week for sure.
Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Southern Launch has signed an agreement with a national body aimed at boosting the company's engineering team. The agreement will ensure all Southern Launch engineers will receive an Engineers Australia membership. This will give them access to its library of industry journals and technical resources. The partnership will also see its workers gain international recognition through the group's chartered credentials. With South Australia's festival season in full swing, Port Augusta has not been left out of all the glitz and glam. A touring production made its first stop last night, bringing musical hits to the region. Edward McCarroll has more.
Performers have taken to the stage in Port Augusta to bring locals some of the greatest hits from beloved musical productions. The world-class ensemble travelled to the city yesterday to perform their concert, The World of Musicals.
People were singing along, clapping along, getting up on their feet and everything, and that's something that you might not necessarily get in larger cities or whatever, so it kind of makes it even more special touring in the regional areas.
The cast performs everything from ballads and opera to big screen anthems and show tunes.
Your Les Miserables, your Phantom of the Operas, all the way up to The Greatest Showman, say, and everything in between.
Organisers say the tour is still in its infancy, with shows across the Eyre Peninsula and Mid-North scheduled for the coming days.
So we're really taking in all corners of South Australia, and it's our first time touring here as well, which makes it even nicer, more exciting.
After last year's tour was cancelled due to COVID, performers are encouraging locals to come out and support touring acts.
There's something in this show, in this concert performance, for everybody. It doesn't necessarily, you don't have to be a big musical theatre fan, but we hope that there'll be something for everyone and something that you'll be singing yourself when you go home.
The cast is performing at the Port Lincoln Nautilus Arts Centre tonight, with a limited number of tickets remaining.
The Royal Flying Doctor Service is holding a human book event for Seniors Week next week. The event will bring together 10 residents who will share a number of interesting stories.
Ready to share stories about their travels around the globe and what brought them to the Silver City. Nurse Glenys Thorpe getting the idea after seeing a Danish project called the Human Library.
Whilst I wouldn't be able to do exactly that, I might be able to do something associated with that related to a program that I run for older persons and mental health.
The event will be held at the RFDS's Wellbeing Place in Blend Street. Residents can attend for free, with catering provided by the old Saltbush restaurant. Instead of each person telling a story one by one, people can get up and move around to the different speakers and have their own personal interaction.
You'll get an autobiography of a list of all the autobiographies. The people will have numbers and you can just move around and ask some questions about themselves.
The group collaborating with the City Library. One talented staff member has compiled each of the speakers' autobiographies.
So Annette Hurd is one of our staff members. She's a writer herself, and I've read some of the biographies that she's written and they're actually really interesting and people are in for a real treat.
The event runs from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. on April 1st. Joshua Mercer, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us after the break. We check what fish are biting this weekend. And Alex Sykes will have the latest weather details. Hello again. Time to go around the Gulf and check what's biting in the water this weekend. Here's our fishing experts with their tips.
G'day and welcome to this week's fishing tips from Port Augusta, Jewel of the North. Well, fairly bog stock standard report for this time of year. Lots and lots of crabs around. They're quite big up around the powerhouse or the old powerhouse area as well, so you're not having to go far if you're leaving from the boat ramp up here. Lots of really nice snook getting caught in the troll and also the odd salmon getting caught there around the creek mouths. Silver whiting available on the high tides along the shack and also try those lower banks and Port Patterson at high tide as well. There's been no signs of squid at the moment, but there's a little bit of cooling in the air, so once that temperature starts to drop, they should start to pop up. That's all we have from the Jewel of the North.
Welcome to another week around the Gulf fishing tips for Port Pirie. We've been talking just recently about squid at Checker Buoy. We have got the squid season just opening. King George whiting do come on play in this time of the year, and we should be able to find ourselves a small feed of those beautiful fish that we've been so looking forward to catching. The yellowfin whiting are just about all gone. Looking for the cross of the season, so get squid jays out, King George whiting rigged out, and enjoy your weekend fishing.
G'day and welcome to this week's fishing tips from Port Lincoln. Starting around the bays here, the crabs have been going pretty well. Better numbers have still been coming from down in the proper bay, with guys getting like 1 or 2 crabs every second or third pot. Moving back down to the bays of Port Lincoln, the whiting have been starting to improve. The size of the fish is generally pretty good at the moment. Most of the fish coming from the North Shore and down in the proper bay. There's been plenty of salmon trout and tommies around the bay as well if the kids want to get amongst them. Over at Coffin Bay, it's been a similar story with salmon trout throughout the bays there. Offshore news has been pretty good the last couple of weeks. The tuna have been really good around the Hummocks Islands, and the kingfish and Samson fish have been going well out at Rocky.
And with a look at what's happening in the weather, here's Alex Sykes.
Thanks, John, and good evening to you and our viewers. A beautiful autumn day in the Gulf today at 3 p.m. while it was mostly sunny and 22. Similar conditions for Clare, 23, and Coffin Bay was 19 degrees. Looking further out across the region now, Port Augusta and Port Pirie were both 26. Port Lincoln was 20. Broken Hill was mostly sunny and 24. Adelaide was partly cloudy and 22. Woodner was also 24. Kadina and Cleve were both 21. Cooper Pedy was mostly sunny and 28 degrees. Taking a look at the satellite image now, bright clouds streaming over far northern South Australia with a trough is producing showers and storms. Low cloud clearing over the coast with cool onshore winds is only bringing the odd light shower. Clear elsewhere under a broad high pressure system. Moving on to tomorrow's weather outlook now, and we'll start with the Gulf waters. Southeasterly winds 15 to 20 knots, seas 1 to 1.5 metres, and south to southwesterly swells below 1 metre. Partly cloudy in Port Lincoln with 21 degrees tomorrow. Cleve set to reach 20 degrees. Woodner mostly sunny and 26. Whyalla to reach 23. Sunny in Port Augusta with 26 degrees there. Kadina 25. Port Pirie will get to a high of 27, Clare sunny and 23, and Broken Hill will get to a high of 25 degrees. Taking a look further through the week now, sunny across the region on Saturday. Port Augusta, Woodner and Port Pirie all to reach 30, 28 in Kadina, Adelaide and Broken Hill. Port Lincoln will be mostly sunny and 24. To Sunday now, Whyalla will be sunny and reach 31. Port Augusta, Port Pirie, Woodner and Cooper Pedy all 33. Mostly sunny in Port Lincoln and 27. Sunny in Broken Hill with 28. A quick look at Monday's forecast now, with partly cloudy conditions expected in most parts. 27 degrees in Whyalla and Kadina. Port Augusta and Woodner and Port Pirie all 29. So beautiful conditions forecast in Whyalla for the Unearth Festival. And that's all the weather from me for tonight. It's back to you, John.
Thanks for that, Alex. And that's the local news this Thursday evening. Thanks for joining us. I'll have updates later, and we will return tomorrow again at the earlier time of 6:30 p.m. Until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.